Video games and its communities have a lot to offer. They come in all sorts of different flavors, sizes, shapes, from 2D to 3D to Nintendo Wii and PSP. After being in said communities though, you do get recommendations to other video game franchises and genres. Personally, I do like to dive into different game categories, just to enrich my palette. And as it happens to be, most of the recommendations that I get are indie games. I'd like to think that I've gone through the ringer of a few of them. What do we got? I got a 2D platformer, a 3D platformer, a first-person shooter, an RPG based off of rats. All I can say is that I had a rather pleasant experience with all of them, as much of a premonition as that is. So then I'm minding my own business when a developer that I support tweets out that apparently a friend of theirs has developed a game over the past 3 years and finally released it. I had to check it out. I mean, it's only logical. So I went ahead, spent $20, zero expectations, zero research, and because I missed Christmas, we're dashing through the snow and dashing into Droid Delta. Created by Dr. Shelton, you, the protagonist, Droid Delta, or just Delta for short, are tasked with taking down 4 different gang leaders by the name of the Viper Gang. I don't know why, but I mean, fuck it, we ball. And that's pretty much about the story, so let's go. Tutorial in, tutorial out. You can run, jump, and shoot. And if you're feeling particularly violent, you can melee. Halfway through the tutorial, you're given another ability. You get the ability to dash. Short bursts of speed, plus if you combine it with your jump, you get a long jump. Easy enough. If you hadn't noticed by now, this is basically just Mega Man except in 3D, which is actually the inspiration for this game, so that's pretty cool. But unlike any other Mega Man entry, you're not allowed to charge shot willy-nilly. No, you have a finite resource that you have to manage. Meleeing enemies and also finding these crystals that you can slash through are a good way to restore your meter. I think it'd just be easier just to slash through everything, wouldn't it? A sword swipe can take down most cannon fodder, and then the bigger enemies you can just use whatever meter you got from them. Sooner or later, you're gonna cross paths with Droid, basically the counterpart to Zero. She gives you a talk about how to more efficiently dispatch enemies and gives you a green sword. That is, unless you can find her in other stages. At that point, she'll be able to teach you how to use your sword in different ways, such as a straightforward lunge, an aerial slash, and then a spinny move that I never actually got in the game. So it's somewhere. I don't know where though. Four bosses, Diet Coke, and the final that's like 5 stages, and each of them has like 3 stages. I mean, there's also bonus stages. Some of the bonus stages give you upgrades to your meter or upgrades to your health, although there are some special rooms that are more hidden than others. Those give you an extra ability aside from your dash. Apparently, those give you a double jump, a mid-air dash, and ×2 damage to your charge shots. Why did I say apparently? Because I never got them. I never found them in the actual game. I didn't even know it was a thing for one of the special rooms to contain a different ability. But I digress. Spoilers, by the way, if you want to check this out. In classic Mega Man fashion, you can actually play whichever stage you want at any point. So it's the sniper, Dr. Shelton's daughter, an American, and then a Mexican, I think. That's right, the fucking Dr. Shelton's daughter, Sasha. Everyone else I don't remember. Yeah. Oh, his name is Ray. The fucking Mexican is Ray. That motherfucker's cool. All of them have different play styles, but for the most part, if you just jump, weave, and shoot, you'll do fine. Except for the final boss where the difficulty spike just fucking skyrockets for no reason. Not really complaining though, I really did want the challenge. The music for most of the stages and bosses fits rather accordingly to what they are. I will say, out of every track in the game, the bonus level stage is, I don't know how to describe it. It's just how a bonus level should sound like, And if there's one final thing I should say about this, the movement itself is basically perfected. The movement is very fluid. All the jumps that you make are just, if you don't make the jump, you fucked up somewhere. And speaking of fuck ups, this is where I will stop talking about the pros of the game. I did let off some tidbits of how I felt about some mechanics and some areas of the game, but I will now say my piece of the problem areas that I saw in the game. I'm not even that harsh when it comes to talking about games like this, but this time it was glaring, like sunlight on a Game Boy display. Some of them more than others, because of course nitpicks can be literally anything. But for the most major one, we'll start off with the fact that there is a soft lock in the first stage of the second act for the first boss. And it wouldn't be so top of my priority if it wasn't for the fact that it literally led up to a bonus stage. I played this game as casually as I could, and I got punished for it. I lost health due to the fact that the floor did not have collision. I got curious enough to actually fuck with the spinning like rotator thing, so I went back and I got myself stuck. There was no way out, and I had to restart from the last checkpoint. Granted, since it was the last checkpoint, it was literally right there. But why is that there at all? Did you not playtest your game? That is literally the first stage. If I had but a smidgen of health, and I had actually fallen to that, and that would have sent me back to the very start of the stage, I would be livid. In addition to the fact that the checkpoints sometimes don't even work. In the exact same stage, I went back because I did the 4th stage first, completed it, and I said, let's go mess with the first stage with this crush dart that I just got. I went back, it had my progress saved at a certain distance within the map, and I slipped off an edge, and because I didn't make it to another checkpoint, it sent me back all the way to the start because it didn't register that I already had my progress saved there. And nobody in their right mind could possibly tell me that it was a skill issue, because how the fuck was I supposed to know that the floor was gonna give out under me, or that the fact that the checkpoint doesn't save from when I come back from a different stage? Those were the two major issues. The other issues that I have are the fact that the points and the tribute coins have zero effect on the actual game. Although there is a shop for the points, the little blue Dorito things that you see lying on the floor, the things you can buy as a consumable and permanent upgrades are negligible. The consumables are a full health up, a full meter up, and invulnerability to pit damage. When translated, those mean you can't manage your health, don't know how to manage your meter, and you straight up just don't know how to platform. The permanent upgrades though are a little bit more justifiable, if even. One of them makes your charge beam charge up twice as fast. One of them makes it so that when you're hit, it doesn't give you as much stun. And then the last one is magnetism, so that you can get even more Doritos. That's 2 out of 3 power-ups that you can just skip because they barely affect the gameplay. Unless you decide to only use Crush Dart, in which case the charge doesn't even matter because you can't charge the Crush Dart. You know what else doesn't matter? The tribute coins. These floating, apparently squares now because they used to be cubes. These are collectibles for you to use in a different shop that isn't the point shop. What does it have? Fucking nothing. It has skins of different characters of Mega Man, and that's it. It's a recolor. That's all it is. You can recolor Delta, and there's no benefit to it. Why would you ever want to collect these? They serve no purpose. Unless you really want her to look like Mega Man, which is fine. Just collect 20 and that's it. Go about your day. It doesn't impact the game whatsoever, unless somehow it affected the ending of the game and you would be able to play as the final boss or something. By the way, they introduced another character at the final boss called Vega, and you get to see him in the art form. You never get to see him in 3D. You don't even get to play as him. It's like, check this out. He looks pretty cool, right? In the sequel, you'll get to play him. Just kidding. Adam isn't even gonna make a sequel. He doesn't even want to. This was his one and only major platform distributed game. He proudly boasts that he worked on this game for 3.5 years, but for me, I think maybe he should have worked a little bit harder on it, or at least longer. I've seen some of the older renditions of the game that he was trying to make, and for some reason, I don't see that here. Some of the old footage looks better than the new footage. It looks more dynamic. Instead of a clusterfuck of spinning rotator blades and moving platforms that are just blue, it could have been a nice world that was, matter of fact, linear, but it would have made for a better experience. Closed in spaces, not a lot of room to maneuver. But that's where the challenge comes from, trying to evade shots from the enemy, somehow dashing in and out. This game definitely should have had its improvements, not as improvements, but as day one features. The fact that your game launched without any options or without any save files available just shows where your priorities were. Sure, this is your first game. This is your first solo developed video game. That doesn't excuse you from laziness. How many games launch without an options setting? How many games launch without save files? Your only redeeming quality for me talking about this game is that I'm not gonna give it a rating. Some of the reviews on your game, they say that the game was better than Mega Man X7, which isn't a compliment. That is the bare minimum. I would say something here about the day before, but at least your game got launched and was actually developed. So I guess it's a net positive, right? Sure, we'll leave it on that. And because I know some of you haven't subscribed yet, this is your lump of coal. It's free. Why the fuck didn't you do it in the first place? Anyway, I'm out. I'm tired. I don't want to talk about this game anymore. Nostalgia can only take you so far. That's all I'm gonna say. And may you have an excellent time on this channel.